Hello everyone, this is Cookies. I've got turn 64, and our big moment this turn is our Dispel, which was successful. So as long as that happened reasonably early in the turn, everything else should go through just fine. In Kasevik Highlands, we've got Muspelheim attacking Lanka. So a big Loves of the Gladiator. This giant's just going to walk up and punch down on people. Alright. And then we have a fair number of battles here. So Panuonia. We've got the Hinnom army going up against a mishmash of, it looks like the Troll King summons, like the army that comes with them, but without the Troll King. The real question is here is how much friendly fire will there be? This doesn't look like quite enough to gem bait. Okay. So we lose 2 Long Dead Rough Fights, 2 Sayer, and we gain a War Troll. They only scored 2 kills, so we did have a little bit of friendly fire again. This army's fielding 100 Sayer, so 2% of the Sayer are gone. In Scantrast, we've got TNN attacking Kaelasa. This is that same She-Lord thug against what looks like 1 PD, but there's a Tuatha warrior that got left behind here. He should be just fine, though. And he's blind. Okay, I don't think we... This is probably going to take a little bit. I don't think it's going to be too interesting. Alright, then in Ashlands, as soon as we saw that blind check come out. Alright, so we've got Meshulam the Melkart. This guy's a stealthy face-borrowing Melkart. So he can behave like an elf. What I like to do is I like to have a scout follow along, and then they can trade a real helmet with the Mask of Face Borrowing. But this guy could potentially get mind hunted as well, although he's got pretty decent MR. It does have a Bloodstone armor for regeneration. Woundfiend amulet. I'm not sure that we need that with our Bless, but I guess we've got more of it. Or maybe we do. Thought we got some affliction resistance. Amulet of Anti-Magic, which is solid. And then a Bloodthorn and Flesh Eater. So Blessing, Fire Shield, and in he runs. I would think... does Hinnom not have Phoenix Fire yet? I would think that would be a good thing to add to the script. Alright, in Polgrave, we've got a Vampire going up against 1 PD. In Mag, we've got a Macone counterattack against Baratos. Looks like a few Grey Knights. That's pretty neat. Okay. The Grey Lord. With Xibalba, we've got another Xibalba raid. Oh, no, we have an army. Okay. So we've got the Hinnom army here, the main stack. We've got some Flatulence in the back, a line of Dawn Guard, kind of like back center. They've got magic weapons, so really important to have them against the Ethereal Bless that the TNN team is fielding. We have a bunch of Long Dead Chaff to kind of fill in with the Sayer. And then we've got a Mage Corps in the center and a few regular Avite swordsmen that we haven't killed off yet. I don't know that they're too helpful. I think we'd rather have Dawn Guard for this war. So they're probably left over from something. Over on the Xibalba side, we have 4 huge blocks of ocelotls, 2 blocks of beast bats. There is the King of Banefires has joined in here. We've got a Mage Core in the back. Got a King of Deeper Earth who's flown in. And a Flame Spirit. Let's go ahead and take a look at all the gear on these armies. So we've got an It with a Crown of Bones, a Akka with a Master Sitham to add nature to the Sabbath. We've got this guy who looks like a big Earthcaster, but also providing some thug duty, but he's diseased with 1 hit point, so Xibalba must not have looked at him recently because he was about to die. And I'm not sure that you'd want all this thug gear on someone who's about to die. We've got this Earth guy who's up at 6 hit points. And then we've got this guy who's got a fire in a jar, so you can do maybe like a fire elemental and then maybe advance and cast. On our end, we've got an Ami with some earth gems, another Masters of Thame Ami with some air gems, and Baal with a Frostbrand and some earth gems. Another Baal with some fire gems. We've got this Balam of the West, Crown of Bones, Armor of Souls, doing big nature. Camazotz with air gems, Camazotz with earth gems. So a lot of earth magic on the Xibalba side, probably to do Steel Slice Warriors. Yeah, then we've got the Flame Spirit, King of Banefires, both doing big fire magic. The King of Deeper Earth, doing a bunch of earth magic, also has a thug kit to defend himself with, just like the King of Banefires. And then we've got 2 Oniki with Armor of Twisting Thorns, Thistle Maces, Blood Thorns. So they have some potential to do a fair amount of magic. This one might be more of a thug. Although if so, I'm not sure about the Brazen Vessel. Or maybe he's just missing gems. He hasn't been reloaded. And then the other Oniki has a bunch of death and nature gems to do some big magic with. All right. So whole bunch of stuff here, whole bunch of stuff here. Let's have some fun. I'm probably gonna center on the Hinnom army. I expect this army to fly in. As the Hinnom army does not have one of the storm staffs we've made. Got Earthquake, Darkness, So we can see here around round 10, the combat's pretty much already over. King of Banefires is HP routing off the field. And takes their cast of Firestorm with him. Alright, so that was a massacre by Hinnom. Let's go ahead and check out the tally. What was that? Xibalba attacked Hinnom. Here we go. So Xibalba loses a fair number of mages, including their Flame Spirit. There are 2 bigger mages do get off the field. They also lose 3 Camazots. Was it 6, 8? So nine of their standard mage lineup. Also 363 Ocelotls, 9 Demon Locusts, 153 Beast Bats, and 38 Sun Guides. So they got absolutely butchered. On our end, we did take a lot of casualties. Ocelotls definitely take their pound, even if we've got, I think, significantly better magic buffs on our army. So we lose an Akka, which sucks. We also lose a Kohen from potentially our Sabbath. And then we lose 11 of the Dawn Guard, a fair number of Long Dead, but also 27 Seir and 2 Shed. So we're down 191 troops. They're down 586. Definitely a huge win for Hinnom. So that should we should be able to take advantage of this win too. In Polgrave, got vampire raids, the Grey Lord. Wait, so in Zimria, okay, so we have some Great Boars raiding PD. A bunch of locusts show up to a little bit of a PD dump and slaughter that. That's a combined force, so that's 2 of the demon locust groups and a vampire lord trying to combine. Then we see a Mapeto Cliffs. Okay, maybe we get a battle here that we can watch. Okay, never mind. We have a bunch of, we have like a throwaway army from Lanka with a couple of mages that they care about. These 2 Raksharaja with death gems. We got some Soulless and a bunch of Thralls. We have turn 0 Foul Vapors. And that's because the Telkeen has showed up. So they've got all sorts of gems, all sorts of boosters on them, and they fly. In addition, there's other mages that have shown up as well. So we have a couple of Pole March thugs. We have 2 Elder Cyclops. One is doing Earth Magic. And then the other one, what do you have? A Bow of War? And then the other Elder Cyclops has a bunch of fire and air gems, but also an SC kit. And then we've got an Archon Thug as well. So, pretty, McCone's definitely brought a much bigger contribution to this. Oh, but we get Winds of Death. So both of these Raksharajas are using all the Thralls and Soulless in front of them as chaff to buy time for them to both do Winds of Death. So their goal here is to weaken this McCone army. And they've triggered the Foul Vapors, and then they retreat off the field. They've brought a Mound King, though. And his job is to provide leadership for this army. So that, we get to see more of the Winds of Death ticks, and it gem baits the McCone army more. So we've also got Howl because of that. Let's see. So yeah, they have put up Serpent's Blessing, it looks like, but Serpent's Blessing isn't quite good enough to roll with Foul Vapors. So we do see a fairly significant amount of attrition here. Where was that? That was here. So doesn't lose either of the mages he cares about, loses all the other stuff though. But kills a Garanti, Locust, 20 of the Hoplites, 4 of the Ekdromos, and 14 of the Terracotta Soldiers. So it does do some attrition, attrits both on gems and on troops, and even killed a mage. So pretty well done by Lanka there. In Earthsword Desert, All right. We've got a bunch of Angiri here, along with a little bit of a communion. And they do catch a couple of She-Lord thugs this time. We'll see if they steal any. Alright, looks like they stole both. Whatever this is. Alright. I think that meant gained 2 She-Lords, but the +1 means gained a horse. Because you can't really do like the... I guess the really correct way to do that in Dominion sense would be like -2, -1, which is kind of weird. But the -1 also represents that you've lost mounts, I think. So yeah, it is kind of weird seeing that math pop up. All right, in Rostergrad, we've got this group of mostly unblessed sacreds. Never mind, we've got a general here to bless some of them. Yeah, just running through 1 PD. We clear out the PD on TNN's cap. Ooh, this should be fun. So here we run into a bunch of foul spawn. And this is a tremendous number of the four tentacle attacked foul beasts. These tentacle attacks are pretty interesting because they're armor piercing. So they'll work reasonably well up to around 20 protection, and then it's DRN rolls. They've also got a fair amount of HP, not a lot of protection. There's a few other things running around here. We've also got this elemental armor Frostbrand thug, and for 2 of them actually. And they've run into a large group of Kalasa Sacreds, which is led by just the 1 general. Maybe 2 generals, so 2 groups of them. Not all of these guys are getting blessed, but a fair number of them should. Alright, and we HP out the thugs. So we lose 6. We kill I think all the troops. So forcing these future She-Lords to maybe raid independently, which is nice. In Deep Forest, got a bunch of Draconians attacking, just slaughtering PD. And then we have a couple of fort storms. So Tianchi is storming that Ubar fort. No reinforcements have showed up. We don't see foreign recruit camels showing up to help defend. We've got Storm coming up. We've got the full suite of buffs from the Tianchi army. Let's see. So yeah, this guy's just got the fire in a jar. He could have cloud trapezed away back to the capital. This guy could have also cloud trapezed away. So there was no reason to keep these guys trapped in this fort with all this other stuff. Probably would have been better to write off this army. But So we can see TNG is largely broken through the gate, but they are hung up on this Ifrit Sultan in the wall. But the Ifrit Sultan's almost down. He's getting frozen-hearted to death. Alright, there he goes. And that's probably starting to HP route the army, which should HP route that final Sultan, provide a much easier kill. Alright. Well, they didn't HP route like I thought they would, but they did get worked down by Frozen Heart. So we see here TNG loses one student of the way. I don't think that should be a big deal. And they lose some amount of just generic troops. And in exchange, they kill 2 Ifrit Sultans, 12 Tubbas, 2 Ifrit Warriors, 23 Camels. I mean, this is a pretty significant win. Especially since a lot of this stuff, like, you weren't going to save the Tubbas, for instance. But you could have... Or these Ifrit Warriors. But you certainly could have saved the Ifrit Sultans, which are the powerhouses behind this defense. And the Camels. And if you'd lost the other stuff, it would have sucked, but it wouldn't have been as much of a disaster as losing the additional stuff that could have fled. Alright, in Gnome Peaks, we've got the Baratos army storming an empty Macone fort. You can see how scary this army is. So they've got a bunch of shed. A whole bunch of Colossi warriors. Blessing finally comes in. We have unholy weapons and quickness. Ooh, this guy's got Staff of the One God, which apparently he's also got Mind Blank. But yeah, a whole bunch of cool gear on this army, a lot of cool magic. A little bit of friendly fire here. Alright, got Blood Rain and Storm up. Kills a few Colossi warriors, but otherwise is okay. And then we get attacked by a mob. So a bunch of thralls, some archers, some light infantry, commander. We have a lot of patrollers here, though. Now, they're going to kill a fair number of our flyers. Okay. So we go ahead and take care of that. We lose one Serpent Fiend. Alright, so what are we up to this turn? Let's see. So we had the big victory here. That's our big battle for this turn. And that should let us take Forest of Springs. We've got a new Hinnom army that just rolled out here. We've got reinforcements back here guarding the retreat route. So things are looking much better on the Xibalba front now. We've killed a whole lot of their stuff. Kailasa is starting to surge forward a bit. Yeah, I completely forgot about this assassin. I need to get him moving. But we've got a few armies running around for Kailasa. I think his plan is probably to have each army go on a fort, but I don't know that for sure. He hasn't really talked about it. But that should help essentially knock Tiananmen out of the war unless they're given another fort by someone else. But taking their capital would also be a pretty significant prize as well, since it would stop recruitment of their Tuatha warriors, the Ree, and the Tuatha sorceress, which comes with Glamour 4, which is pretty crazy. And I think Kalos is also looking forward to trying to get a bunch of nature income out of this region. All right, and then over here we've got two big Kalos armies, one on each of these thrones, trying to protect our thrones that we've got. In terms of what I'm doing on Abysia this turn, sending out a fair amount of stuff. So we've got gold and blood slaves out to Hinnom. A lot of the items we made last turn. In terms of what we're making this turn, we're risking an ancient casket on our vampire, but otherwise it's a lot of blood items and a few water items, particularly shambler skins. And then in terms of what we're casting, we've got some reanimation, infernal breeding, and we're getting another golem. So trying to increase our golem numbers, and we can start empowering them in other paths in case another corruption goes up. We're not completely turned off from some of those foraging options. So I think that's it for this turn. We're at about 28 minutes, so I'll go ahead and stop here and catch you guys in the next one.